Chicago.
That is a huge screen. It outdoes my big screen that I got at home.
Yeah, mine too. Mine is really huge too,
I
but
need it
not that
big.
big. Yeah, sometimes when I'm designing, it's real good to have something big, but it's not that big. That's a TV.
Well, TV can be a screen now.
It could be used as a monitor for
Yeah, my
sure.
son do that.
That's a thought. I have a TV I'm not using.
Yep, make it your second screen.
Yes. Do you communicate with the people on Facebook Live? Do you communicate with the people on Facebook Live when it's live? You know how when you did the Facebook Live, all this stuff was happening, and you were able to communicate with them.
I didn't know if I could.
Oh, you know what? That's not. We wouldn't do that. But if you were doing it, you could just say, "Hey," like I was saying, how my friend says, "Hey, I see you out there, Tish."
Oh, I could respond to that.
You could speak that way instead of
Oh.
typing anything.
Oh, I didn't know
You could just
that.
talk to
I didn't even know that.
somebody's comments.
Because I streamed live only twice. And that was for the jazz thing that Greg had.
Yes.
And then I streamed
Now or never.
Mic check. Good morning, good afternoon. Is it? It's
Good
morning still.
morning.
Good
Yeah,
morning,
yeah.
Kevan. How are
Yeah,
you?
good. Today we want to talk about the advantages of having a podcast stream or a podcast show and the advantages of having the ability to brand yourself, market yourself, and have some material, original content that you can actually utilize to bring in new clients, maintain old clients, or even just to get people to understand who you are and what some of your services are. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring on the panel of individuals. And the first one is Tisha LittleJohn. You want to talk to them about who you are?
Yes, I'm Tisha LittleJohn. I am a website designer. I also offer services in graphic design, social media, email marketing, and content writing and video editing. So I always tell people I'm your one-stop shop for internet marketing. But I mainly specialize in website design, and it's not it's not just putting a website up, but it's also making sure that people find you. So what I've done is specialize a strategy where I add your brand marketing to your website design so that people not only find you, but they also buy from you. So, and that's very important that when
Makes
they come
sense.
to the site, they do something. So that's me,
Absolutely.
website specialist.
Beautiful.
And our guest,
And one of the best I know.
Thank you so
I
much.
utilize your services.
Thank you, thank you.
okay, Miss Lawson, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, I'm Norma Lawson. I have been selling real estate for 21 years with Coldwell Banker Real Estate in Hyde Park. I love our office location. We have visual in Hyde Park. It's one of the high-end areas in Chicago. I also service the south side and south suburbs. I enjoy what I do, and I truly believe in the pod servicing where you can live stream and advertise and market your business. Marketing is really a key aspect to any self-employment. So I welcome the opportunity to sit down and network here with one of my very good friends, Tish, and I also utilize her services. We share in that. She's recommended buyers to me that I've closed deals on. So it's all about networking, too.
Networking, yes.
Networking
Yes.
is key.
Good. Well, today, Tish and I did a podcast before that actually spelled out some of the why, when, what's, how, and where. One of those, all five of those. And the reason why I did this is because podcast is a new kid on the block when it comes to utilizing video and audio. It used to just be audio, and it used to be synonymous with the radio. But now things are progressing, technology is coming about, and what I wanted to do was actually bring somebody on that did have a business and make it real world with this particular podcast. I wanted to actually see and talk to you about what your business is, how a podcast could perhaps help you, and then interim, people on the outside can see how it can relate to them. Doesn't matter if they're in real estate or not, the products and the services are still the same as far as the result is concerned. So we're going to start it off with Tisha. Why do you think that it could be a good thing to utilize podcasts for entrepreneurs, in this case, Miss Lawson?
Well, I think that podcasting is really a good tool. It's a good way for people to get to see you for who you are. It's a good opportunity because it's video and it's something that you could share after after you've done the recording. It's an opportunity for many people at once to get a chance to see who you are, what your business is, to see you as an expert in your area of expertise, and to see exactly why, and to get to know you as a person. So I think it's a great tool when it comes to that. And as far as the reason why I think that it's a great tool to market yourself is because right now, with the websites, it's important to have content and original content, and this is a creative way, different type of creative original content, because right now we have different types of videos that people use on their websites. It's not exactly a podcast. They also have written content, and then this adds some variety, and it shows you in a different light. So I think it's important. And after the podcast is recorded, like say people who right now can see us, but the people who don't get a chance to see us, they'll also get a chance to possibly see you later, and maybe we can focus on some of the key points that maybe you point out in this video, Norma, or that I pointed out in this video, and we can shorten it to segments so they're smaller videos, and we can find ways to market you that way. But first, we'll probably be considering how you specifically would do your podcast. So I thought of maybe the idea of you showing the area that you specialize in now, which is, you were explaining that earlier.
Residential homes, primarily, yes.
And then maybe you had mentioned the gut rehabs. So if that's an area that you want to highlight, then you could do a show on that, a podcast on that. You could bring in maybe another expert. You could bring in someone that you've already used before. That used your services before. You can also bring in someone that's interested in purchasing, and this might be an option they thought of doing the gut, having a gut rehab property,
Yep.
and then all of you all can talk and you can answer questions, and that might be a good approach.
Also, the alliances that you have, being in the business as long as you've had, most times you've built alliances with people, whether it's in the decorating, staging process, down to credit rebuilding. It's so many dynamics to buying a house, and it changes so much that you really do need somebody who is more inclined to be open to new and old things and incorporate it into their business. So that, let's face it, buying a house sometimes is a little bit, it's intimidating because you don't know. Yeah.
The main thing is to really make the client feel relaxed and understand that we're here to help you. And it's a team that sells a house. I don't just sell a house. It's a team of people that participate in getting it done. The attorney that you work with, the mortgage brokers, the loan officers that you work with, home inspectors, appraisers, all in a final effort to get you that perfect home that you plan to spend the rest of your life in. Some do. Because it's a new world now. Our parents bought homes and lived forever in them. But the younger generation, I'm finding out, is they may buy several homes in their lifetime. They may transfer jobs. They don't have a problem with moving out of state. Whereas, back in the day, your parents might work at, your dad might have worked at the steel mill. My dad worked at Handy Button Machine Company. He worked there until he retired.
Right.
My mother was a nurse. She worked at Mount Sinai Hospital until she retired. But it's so open now. It's so many opportunities to be self-employed out here. Podcasting, should I say, is another form of self-employment, but it's also an enrichment to other parties who are in the same effort of being self-employed. You can make more money working for yourself than you can ever make working up under a dome.
Right, and I agree with you there when you say that, because someone might say, well, I know someone that's an entrepreneur and I make more money than them. But what you're really saying is that when you are an entrepreneur, you have your own business, there's no ceiling.
There's no ceiling.
So
it's infinity.
I get you there. One thing you mentioned, and Kevan mentioned as well, is that with your podcast, and I was thinking mainly like focusing on as a real estate agent, there's a team of people. And that
involved.
team of people could be in your podcast or
Yes.
or a representation of them.
Yes.
And
I would love to live
The Alliances,
stream
absolutely.
with because I have a team that I work with. I have a specific attorney that I use, Ellen Duranian. Use her 100% of the time if I can. I have LO, what we call it, LO, loan officer, Tony Pierce with Prospect Mortgage. I use him. Predominantly, I have another loan officer. I use Nikki. She's with Marvell Ventures Mortgage. She runs her own mortgage company, and would love to bring them all in a roundtable discussion where we specifically hit on areas of interest for the ones who are viewing, anyone who's interested in buying, or anyone who's interested in marketing themselves with the tools that you provide.
Yes.
Tish would love to hear a live discussion, the do's, the don'ts, short stories,
Yes.
about certain things that have happened that may have turned your business around, and give them incentive to forward on whatever avenues they have in mind
Exactly,
for themselves.
exactly.
Yeah,
It's just an all
And real
great
quick,
thing.
what I was going to say about that, you had say that's 4 people. That's you and 3 other people you mentioned, and each one of those people are going to have a moment where they're showing their area of expertise through
Yes.
something that they say. So what I've done is create a way for us to use the videos later. So I see it as a 1 minute or 2 minute video. Someone might see this later as a recording and say, I want to see the whole thing.
Yes.
And someone else might see that and say, oh my goodness, 50 minutes, I don't have time for that. So a way to make sure that they don't miss out on something that you said that was really important is to create a smaller video, maybe a 1 minute video to highlight something really awesome that one of you guys said. Say I'm just imagining us having
And
this
get their
for-
blood pumping.
Right,
Yes,
right.
yes,
and then
yes.
and then after they see that 1 minute or 2 minute video, they might want to go in and see the whole video.
Or
So-
produce their own.
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly. But that's 4 people that's highlighted. You and the other 3 people you mentioned that can be highlighted, and they can market themselves with that one podcast.
That's right. They can do
One thing
wonders
I
with
want to
it.
interject is y'all on the road. Good job, good job. I love it. I love
Hey,
it.
we know how
Well, one of the things is we forget about the people that do not live in Chicago, who may or may not know what the law of the land is. We hear stuff from the media talking about how challenging it is to be in Chicago, but if you hear from a real estate agent or a group of people that work here, then it gives them an idea of what areas to live in, what the prospect as far as them not living here. They have no idea. I have tons of friends that call me like, and this is in the suburbs. This is not just out of city. It's in the suburbs. And they're asking me like, well, how's Bronzeville or how's Hyde Park? And I have to tell them, well, these are some things you consider, whether it's parking, you have schools, and you have things of that nature. And they like, well, you know what? I haven't been there. Can you tell me more about it?
Say better yet, I'll send you one of my podcasting live streams, which focuses on those areas and give you everything you want to know.
And exactly. And the person feels like when they hear you and see you in the video, they automatically gonna look out for you as them being you being their possible real estate agent. Why?
Amen.
Because they caught your character.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
They caught your character.
Very good.
They caught who you were. They found out how experienced you are in your certain profession. So it actually takes some of the guessing game out of what it is that they're gonna do. And moving from one place to another, it can be a
Sort of
daunting task.
Close and
Yeah.
personal experience with someone that you potentially can work with and do business with, or could produce more business for whatever business you have.
Plus,
You
that'll
know?
give them opportunity to have some confidence in who they chose.
So true.
So that's a benefit to them
Life
seeing
is
you.
more on an interviewing kind of spectrum now. It's not 1-800, I'm going to pick you, or I'm just go to the yellow pages and just, point to a person and say, I'm going to use this contractor. You want to price it out. Everybody has different prices, for whatever work you're getting done. So it's just a whole new avenue of many things. Advertising, along with finding the best deals. The internet has really changed the world. So.
Amen.
And this is just one more step.
You know,
into
I
it.
believe
I
that.
know that this is your world.
Yes.
You part of the creation of the world. That's why I use
wow.
you. I mean, I love using Tish. Tish gets my cards. She put the design together. I just give her ideas like, hey, I kind of want to do this, and she puts the design on the back and just send it to me. I'm like, this looks great. Let's do it.
My commercial.
Right, good job, good job. I have a question that we can chime in. When do you think an individual who is an aspiring entrepreneur or entrepreneur should consider having a podcast themselves or being on somebody else's podcast to actually get an idea of how it works
Tish.
and, more importantly, what are some of the takeaways on a marketing and branding scale?
I think right away, anytime. We had talked about this before, and I used the example of one of my clients started gathering emails through their website for their newsletter, and he received like 2. And he said, where should we start? And I said, now you have 2
Yeah.
people listening. So I don't think you have to wait until you're on a certain level
Right.
as far as years in the business. I think as a new person, this is a great opportunity for people to be introduced to you.
I
And this
agree.
is a great way to market yourself because you don't have maybe a Rolodex full of names.
Yes.
And as a veteran or a person that's been in the business for a while, it's also a great opportunity for you to renew yourself in someone's mind and for you to introduce yourself to new people. And maybe as that new person, you might want to come on a panel instead of having your own show if you feel more comfortable. But either way, I think there isn't a right time. I think any time is the right time.
Anytime.
Norm,
is the
you
right
want- you wanna
time.
chime in?
I totally agree with that. Start now. You know, I've been in a business a long time, 21 years, and it took me half of that to figure out that I needed to market myself. The minute I made that decision to invest in marketing, and this is a form of marketing, podcasting is a form of marketing that can change your life. It's life-changing. And so I'd like to tell any new person coming into a business, starting a business, don't wait until you're halfway into your business to start a real goal. Have your first goals on the table, and the number one goal is to market yourself and find out as many ways as you can do that and act on them immediately.
Good,
Yes.
good. I just think that sometimes we have challenges with understanding the value of marketing, the different avenues in which to market. How does technology actually kind of help entrepreneurs and people? I keep saying entrepreneurs, but self-employed individuals and individuals that have a concept that they want to get out. Either way, they want to be able to be efficient and effective in what it is that they're doing to actually get their information out. Whether it's saying something one time to a live audience, whether it's having some data like a video to actually illustrate what is actually going on. These are things that you can utilize several times afterwards. It's not just one thing like you were speaking about before. Using that same information and putting it into a short spiel that can actually help with marketing yourself to them in different stages in that case. So, yeah, I wanted you guys to kind of talk about, like, we talked about when
Right.
and where is the best place to actually do a podcast.
Where?
Yeah, please.
I don't really know any other place but a studio like this.
I mean,
I don't know. I mean, I'm not a
gonna
podcast
just say a studio.
professional.
I think
So
if you know, depending on what your business is, you might want to take it live to the streets.
that's
You
that's
know?
the point.
I mean, of course, in the summertime in Chicago, we're not trying to
Absolutely.
be out there with the chill going on. But I mean, I would take it to my business. I'd walk the pod, and I would suggest that for other businesses. You know, walk them through your day, what you do. For my day, I mean, it would be going into a couple of properties. You know, walking them through a property, describing a property, and or sitting down at a forum and with a round table and, you know, explaining each segment
Right.
of how you get to the end of the deal.
You
And
know,
for
that's
you
like
too.
that's a different type of video marketing that you're referring to, which
Oh,
is
okay.
really great too. You know,
Okay.
that's
Okay.
just you. That's a commercial kind of, or it's a
Educate me, Tish, because
right.
you are the
No,
computer
it's just a
expert.
little different when it comes to podcasting. I'm not an expert. I'm not the expert
You're
here
my
as far as that's
expert.
concerned, as far as podcasting. But I see podcasting more as the setup. And the casual discussions that you're having with the other people that are on the podcast with you about whatever subject it is that you all come up
Okay.
with or you decide on.
Okay.
And the video you're talking about, as far as, which I think is an excellent idea, and I'm going to run with that. Okay, seriously. But I think that video that you're talking about is just another way to use video to market your business. It's not, I guess, exactly under the umbrella of a podcast.
podcasting.
And then maybe Kevan can tell us a little bit more about
Kevan,
the podcast
you're
versus
the
what she was
podcasting
describing.
expert over here. So tell us, how far can we expand on this whole idea of podcasting?
Well, that's a good question. I'm glad you guys asked. One of the things that I thought about when I was creating Fresh Air Networking Studio was the ability to use technology to actually not be limited to just being in a studio. What does that mean? That means that the most important thing is to archive or to actually create some kind of proof of what you're doing. So with Fresh Air, of course, I built the podcast so we can come in here and actually do the Q&A and the interview and all that good stuff. But we're not limited to being just in the studio. So, for instance, with yourself and being in the real estate game, you can actually do a podcast on buying a particular property in a particular area. So what does that mean? Let's go to the Auburn and Gresham area.
Yeah.
Let's see what kind of bungalows or whatever that's in that particular area. And you're actually giving people an idea of what's going on.
A first-hand visual.
A first-hand visual, like what is a bungalow?
Yeah.
How does that work? Is that something that I should be interested in? So even the neighborhood, finding out, going to the busy streets and actually videoing what are the stores that's around, what are the schools that are around. So it's just not limited to being someplace sitting down. Also, you can actually have a forum outside where we live stream it. Long as we have the internet and I have my cameras in the computer, we can live stream anything, anywhere.
It's wireless now. That's
Exactly,
right.
exactly. So I did want to make sure that I bring that up because
Okay.
we're not just going to be limited to the individuals coming into the studio. We wanted to actually expand. What if you have in a forum someplace or a seminar that you have 400 people? Well, we can actually utilize that space and that time to actually, video, have a Q&A, have people come up and ask certain questions and things in that
excellent
idea. So
That is a good
it gives
Hold
a person.
buyer seminar,
Yeah.
or for you with your computer and website. People who are interested in that or creating their own website. We host a seminar that talks about these things, and we take it to a certain area where we have a larger audience and live stream it. So then we have even bigger audience.
Yes.
The possibilities are endless.
Yeah, I think live streaming is new. It's a way to go. I like the idea of not having to do a lot of editing.
Right.
Because, a lot of times when I'm editing a video, my clients are very concerned with the little things, like rocking too much, which I do a lot, and saying too much, and I have to edit that out, and then we miss out on a good point. I always bring this up.
Yeah.
And then here we are. I'm sure it's moments where I say, "Oh, I wish I had said that a little bit differently," but it was said, and the message was gotten. It
If
came
you get
across.
your message across,
Exactly.
that's the main point of any live podcasting or roundtable discussion, is to really get the message across.
And you can be comfortable and you can keep going.
Yeah.
Because I've been
Yeah.
at video shoots where we had to cut and go back, cut, and the momentum changed.
Yeah.
Here we just go.
We're
the
just
momentum
we're live. We're
stays.
just talking it out. We're just coming up with new
Right.
ideas. Our new ideas and thoughts are heard right now,
Right.
live streaming, and someone is listening who is going to say, "Hey, that's a
Right.
great idea for my business."
Right. Oh, and real quick, I want to say there is a place for the other types of videos. I'm not
Okay.
suggesting that we get away from video commercials for your business. The live streaming is awesome, and it has its place, and podcasting has its place, and also commercials for your business has its place, and then studio interviews where it's been edited, they have
it's
their
gonna
place.
be all
so
of that.
It's variety. That's what's important,
right.
is variety.
Ultimately, that variety is what's really going to take you to the next
Right,
level
right.
with any business that you're trying to run. So yeah, we don't want to say
This is a new
podcast
thing, and
the
this is
only
it.
thing.
Right.
It's everything for that moment,
Right.
and then so is a standard video.
But it's
for
great
that
now
moment.
because it's new and it's exciting, and so I like,
Yeah.
I like the idea of that,
Yeah.
Especially in the video format.
Yes, indeed.
All right. Let's go to. We went to how? Did we say how? Did we go through how?
I think we did the how,
Did we do the how?
I don't know.
or it was the what.
We did the what?
Now, if I was Barack Obama, I could go back. You could have given me a 10 question in one question, and he would have separated all 10 and answered it. And if you would have said, Barack, was it the how or the what? He would have said it was the how, the what, the who, the this. I mean, since we're not that,
Barack Obama.
you're going to have to tell us.
It's okay. I think the most important part is to give people understanding how and what podcast is, how technology have actually helped things with. You don't have to be an expert in podcasting. If you have an idea, a concept, and I've actually put those things in place on the technology side where you just come and show up and we create content that people really want to know about, listen to, hear, and they want to know about it from actually start to finish. So many times people want to know some things, but they only get pieces of the puzzle as opposed to the whole nuts and bolts from beginning to end. And when you can actually sit down and hear somebody actually spell out what the process is, it gives you an idea of, okay, at least I can go to one place to see what it is from point A to point B, as opposed to, I don't know a loan officer, I don't know a real estate agent, I don't know somebody that can actually stage my house if I'm trying to actually sell my piece of property. What are the ins and outs on that? So to me, podcasting gives you the ability to market yourself and actually tell a story all at the same time. And I can't negate the fact that we have to create proof nowadays and create our own media outlets and our own experts. In this
Yes.
case, Norma, you've been in the game for 21 years, and experiences, insight, alliances that you've built, all those things are not something that we should take lightly. So how do we actually create a space and a platform where you can come in and you can actually showcase that whole get down?
Podcasting.
Yep, on Fresh
One
Air
thing you
Networking.
said that I wanted to make sure we made clear. I think anyone can come in and talk about their business or product organization, but it's important that it looks good and professional, and that it's not just someone at home that puts a something
their
behind a
footies.
sheet behind them, and they put their phone out and they're like, because it's almost like, I'm gonna always go back to what I know, which is websites. You can maybe find your niece and have her put your website up, but it's gonna show who you are. If it's not done well,
You want it to
if
look
you want it to
professional.
look professional,
Yes.
so it shows who you are and how
Yes.
you put what you put into your business, what you're gonna put into what that
Yes.
customer is getting from you, based on what you have and what
Yes.
you're
If
showing.
they
So
see
this
a
should
homemade
it should look nice. It should look like this.
website.
It should look like this podcast,
Yes.
or on this level or better. You know.
Like I was just gonna say, if they see a homemade website, then they're gonna think
You're
their
homemade.
business is homemade. They're not gonna call you. They want to see a professional website. They want to see one that was well thought out, that does everything that they wanted
It
to
should at
do
least
when they
look
get on there.
professional. It should
Yes.
look good. It should look like you care about your business.
Yes.
And that's my point. Just like
Yes,
us doing
indeed.
this, I don't think either one of us would have been here or somewhere where it wasn't a professional environment. I mean,
Exactly.
set, you know,
that
and because it
falls
represents
on-
us.
That's right.
And that's the
That's
same
right.
thing with your website or your business cards or whatever you use to market yourself. And this is a
Exactly.
way of marketing us.
Yes,
right?
indeed.
All right. Okay. So
Get down with the get down. High five that. High five that. Don't leave me hanging, girl.
Oh, I had to laugh.
no, but it
That was
also
funny.
it also brings the social element into the on the fold. What I mean by that is, you guys, well, you know, I've been doing networking events for years, and some of the challenges that I've seen with entrepreneurs is the inability to relate to each other. Men versus women, women versus women, men versus men. And what that means is that we haven't actually embraced the socialization of being entrepreneurs and being around other people and sharing ideas, and in that space, understanding that this person is here to assist me. They're not here as competition. They're not here to take away from me. Entrepreneurship is a lonely lifestyle. We know this. And what I thought about when podcast comes about is sometimes you can't be around your friends or family and talk about these things because they can't relate. Or you want some insight on a certain subject matter, and some people cannot actually assist you in that. So a podcast show / network gives the ability for a person to come someplace that is actually
Not common ground.
it is geared for you. It's
Yes.
geared for you to actually be around or see somebody just similar to you going through the same pitfalls or some of the same challenges that you are. What that does, it actually helps the entrepreneur to not think that he or she is alone in this. Also, socially,
Good point.
we don't interact with each other as much as we used to.
Exactly.
We don't.
That's
Remember,
so
we used to
true.
go to our cousin's house when we was younger, and we used to spend the night over our friend's house. Then when we got older, it seems to me that we get so if it's not somebody's birthday, if somebody is not having an event that you know about ahead of time where you can go, 9 times out of 10, adults are not interacting with each other on a business level or on a personal level. So a podcast show actually gives the person the insight to share with their audience who they are. What are some of the takeaways that they've experienced in their lives? What are some of the things that they have learned through socializing with like-minded individuals in their particular field? Sometimes it's not in their field. But we want to make ourselves human again. We want to make it where we're approachable now, where things that we want to share with people, it's not taboo not to talk about it. You know how sometimes when I would do networking events and people would not want to actually share their card because they were a little bit, shy. So a podcast gives the ability for a person to come in, be interviewed. They don't have to do a show. They can be interviewed, and they can actually get their stuff out there to an audience that the person who was actually interviewing them has established already. So creating analogs and analytics about what it is that you're doing, meaning we got to create proof, and we have to create followings. So Facebook, social media is cool, but if you're not collecting the data, and actually after you collect the data, corresponding with them, seeing them or touching them in some kind of shape, form, or fashion on a consistent basis, then what is it all worth?
Yeah.
So I wanted to get you guys thoughts on the social side of people not being able to interact with each other,
Yeah.
the downfalls of if you're not socializing, then you're not, 9 times out of
Right.
10 you're not sharing your business. If you're not sharing your business, then 9 times out of 10 you're not getting
Getting business.
right?
You
So-
know, I used to go to a lot of networking events when I first started out. When I left my corporate job and I stepped out on faith, and I just
right.
knew it was going to happen. I was going to go to networking events and I was going to get clients. I was gun-ho about going to networking events. Then something happened. I found Facebook. I resisted it for a while, but someone told me I can get business from it, and I have gotten lots of business from Facebook. But what I'm trying to get is that I stopped going to networking events. I stopped going out and meeting people. I
That
used to have an
personal touch.
elevator speech and so many things I said to people that, or potential clients that, just now when I was trying to explain who I am and what I do, it didn't come out as easy as it used to. It used to be super easy. I knew what I was going to say. I knew what, so I like the idea of this because I have clients that I've met on Facebook. I've never spoken on the phone. I have one that I've been working with for 6 years, and we've never talked. So obviously she's never talked to me in person. I've never met her. She doesn't live in, the same city. And this would be awesome for her to see this, to say, this is the person I hired.
Right.
This is who she really is.
To add to that, I agree with you. We've come very technical now, and so we work with people without actually seeing them. But sometimes, just to, I'm glad you brought up the humanistic side of it, because podcasting kind of brings that back, even though it's still online, but it's live. So you're getting that personal touch, even though you're not face to face with someone. And people want to see that too, especially some of the old school people. And I'm considered, a little bit in the old school, where
Be careful, right? Be careful.
A bit. I may not look it.
Not
but hey,
at all.
But I am, because I won't pay certain bills on the website of the person I owe. I'll do it on my own banking website, or I'll call them. Sometimes when you call and you just get a recorded message, people get upset about that sometimes. They want to talk to a live person.
Right.
So podcasting is bringing that back, but still keeping it on that social media level as well.
Good point.
Yeah, definitely a good point. Also, establishing proof. I've seen that. I've been looking at podcasts for years now, and one of the things that I see once these people decide to do podcasts and they do it on a consistent basis, is it legitimizes them. It legitimizes them to a point of, if this person got the nerve to get in front of a camera, I'm serious,
speak their
and
mind.
speak and talk. And okay with what it is that their business is, what they've been doing, and actually know what they're talking about, it sets you apart from 90 to 95% of your
Potential business.
Or
competition, right?
Competition.
So
Yeah.
what happens is that, let's face it, when we see people on Channel 5, 9, they be like, oh my goodness, they
They made it.
They made it. Now, the challenge part is that they did a interview for like 15 minutes, but they only put 2.5 minutes in front
If
of
that.
in front of the
in front
person.
of the audience.
Not
Exactly.
only that 15 minutes, they generally don't give the person who they're interviewing the opportunity to take that information and take it with them so they can utilize it for their own benefit. So what happens is
point.
that you get that 5-second,
Fame.
glory, and then you got to tell other people now, yeah, I was on Channel 5, and they may give you that little snippet. And it's gone.
And they
It's
might
lost.
have actually just shown the part, not the part you would have wished they showed.
Right.
Yeah.
So you were like, I said something amazing. And they didn't get that part, and this is what they showed.
Absolutely.
So I
yeah.
see where you're going with this.
No, it is. It's amazing
point.
how
Yeah.
media has actually dictated so much to us in our lifestyles.
Definitely.
And we need to take it back.
Again, President Obama changed that a lot. He was the first presidential candidate to go with the internet, with the Facebook, with the Twitter, with all of these different avenues of getting his message out, and it worked. And I think it has definitely put a new trend or spin.
Well, that's
for
smart if
everyone
you want
else.
to stay, be current with the trend. That made sense. It was just he came in at that time, so yeah. And that's what we need to do too, to tie this in somehow with what you just said. We need to stay on trend as businesses. We can't just stick with, okay, this is what I've done for years and this has worked.
Yeah.
Things change, and they're changing rapidly. I mean,
with a new
the way
generation.
people, like the way clients or potential clients and viewers online, the way that they are seeing things now, the way they are expecting to see something, they expect to see something a certain way. We can't do the same thing we used to do. We have to upgrade. We got to stay with trend.
For the young adults that we have out here, the 20, the 30-something year olds, and even early 40s. Everybody has changed their spin, or I say the majority. So we can't look at it.
It just
in
becomes the
arcade.
norm after a while. Just
It's
like
norm
before,
to them,
people
and we
used to
need to
say
get with it.
marketing, and they wouldn't even think about internet marketing.
Yeah.
Now, if you go to some business and they say they talk about their marketing, the majority of what they're talking about is internet marketing.
Yeah, they
So
should
things
be,
change.
Because I'm gonna tell you this: mailers don't work, cold calling don't work. That's what we used to do in real estate back in the day. Get on the phone, call a bunch of people. People are not even gonna answer your call with caller ID now. They're like, I don't recognize that number. That doesn't work. Putting mailers out doesn't work. People look at it, that's junk mail to them. They may not even open it.
The only reason they will is if you sent them an email and they were on your website and you signed up for something and they said, look out for this mailer that's coming in the mail.
Exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
So it all works together.
Your
Like I was saying
ties.
before, how
Yes.
other areas of video is also important.
Yes.
Other ways of marketing is not dead.
Yes.
It's just that now you have to totally incorporate it with your
Reinvent it.
internet marketing.
They
It's
reinvent
all
it.
together now.
Yes.
It walks hand in hand. And
Stay
some people
innovative.
don't have it in their budget to have that other marketing, but internet is free mostly. It's really inexpensive compared to the way it was before.
Yeah,
to
true.
actually market and
True.
reach the mass amount of people.
I was just gonna say that the masses, you meet more masses through the internet system than you will ever meet doing a mailer.
Right. Yep.
All right.
Most companies going paperless anyway.
Back to you.
Oh, back to you,
So,
Kevan.
I wanted to actually talk about the value of creating our own stars and our own experts. And one of the things that I've seen by doing a podcast and actually following other podcasts is that you really don't understand how much momentum you're going to get when you do a podcast. You really don't understand. And what I mean by that is, let's just take this, for instance, Norma. When Tish said that you was going to be on the podcast show, right? How did you feel?
I was excited and I had enthusiasm for it. I was glad she called me and said, hey, let's do this. Because I thought about it and she said live streaming. I'm like, okay, I would be comfortable in a live stream segment because I don't have an actual audience. Sometimes you have an audience, you get nervous. And
A live
you
audience.
Live audience. And we're sitting right in
Right
front
in
of you.
right.
Audience.
True.
Because
In
this is
studio
live.
audience. That's how we should
This
say. In
is
studio
live.
audience, because we have a live audience.
We
right
have
now.
a live audience
Right,
right
but
now.
you meant in studio.
But it's just the three of us here having a conversation. I feel so comfortable right now. Whereas if I actually had 100 people in front of me, I might.
But what did you
be a
feel
little
like
more
before?
nervous.
Did you feel like, I know I've asked people and they were a little uncomfortable with the idea because it was, they never done it before. They never been in front of the camera. So they paused and they hesitated, they rescheduled. I mean, because I think they're like nervous.
I love looking at something new.
Yeah.
I like to stay with the new. Like if I had some old French provincial furniture in my house, I would have threw that out so tough. But I grew up looking at it. My mom still has it. And some people really like it, but I like to stay with the times. So you have
But
to
you're
tell people
comfortable
that.
in front.
Yeah.
You're comfortable just because I know you. I know you're comfortable talking to
I'm
people.
comfortable in my skin.
Right,
True,
you're very
true.
comfortable, but maybe
But I wasn't
everyone's not.
always.
But you are,
I wasn't
So
always. That
you're
took
not the
53
average person
years.
that I might ask to do this. That actually was no hesitation about doing it because of it, it being in front of a camera.
I've been very nervous. I remember my first developer, and this was early 2000s when we were doing a lot of new construction and gut rehab in the Hyde Park area, and we had to go before the area. Well, we met over at the park over there on Lake Park Street. We have to go to do something new in the area. You have to sit down with people who live in the area, and they have to basically give you a vote of confidence. And I stood up in front of those people, and I was so incredibly nervous. I think I was even struggling with my words and everything. Now today is different.
Right.
That was
Veteran.
a while ago. Yeah.
Right. That's what's up. That's what's up.
You lose that, and this helps you lose it. So
Well, when you know what you're talking about, after a while, it becomes second nature.
yeah,
That's the
maybe so.
that's the
It
most
is
important part.
It's so much more comfortable than I thought it was going to be. I'm not like you. I didn't come into this thinking it was going to be a piece of cake and I wasn't going to have to worry about,
Right. We're not gonna talk about the
Don't
first.
talk about my first time because I was extremely. I guess I wasn't nervous to the point of shaking or anything, but I was a little bit unsure about what it was going to be like or how it was going to come across.
how
And
you
I was
feel
thinking of
now?
everything. It just takes one time. And I
Yeah,
try to tell
there you
people
go.
when I'm talking to them about the idea of doing it
Right.
that it's nothing to worry about. It's a breeze. This is the easiest video project you're probably going to do.
Yeah, and another piece to that is the fact that the company that you keep when you're doing the podcast has a lot to do with it. Meaning, we all comfortable around each
Right.
other. We have some of the same backgrounds in the entrepreneurial spirit, and then the most important part is that we have to embrace talking and interacting with each other more, and acting and interacting with each other on subject matters just not the norm. Meaning, like what's on TV. We're talking about
Oh,
business.
yes.
We're talking about solution-based Q&A about how we get from point A to point B. And we don't necessarily always have to leave it up to our own faculties to get from point A to point B. So what podcast actually does is gives us the an opportunity to be around like-minded individuals. That's the most
Yes.
important. Bounce ideas and concepts off. And then more importantly, we are actually archiving it. We're documenting this. This is what's I believe that's not going on is that we have great people in Chicago with great ideas and great events, but we don't capture them. So now you have to actually kind of start over with the next event. You have to tell people, well, how was the last
Give 'em
event?
a recap.
Yeah, you got, well,
Yeah.
dang, well, you should have
Here's-
came.
This could recap over and over again. You could replay.
And you don't have to try to remember everything that happened because
Yeah.
it's just watch it.
Yep. Yeah, so that's the archival part of it,
I like
the
that.
documenting part of it, the fact that you can utilize this information and video and audio to actually market and do whatever
Yeah.
and tell your own story. And then we're creating experts in our professions. We're creating stars in Chicago. So many times I believe that people that's outside of Chicago don't have any idea on what's going on in Chicago.
Right.
Who are the people here? We always see people they say they have to leave Chicago to make it big. And then unfortunately, they never come back to Chicago. Or they have to leave Chicago. And when they leave Chicago, they haven't cultivated the relationships that they have in Chicago. So once they leave and they say, well, let's go back to Chicago.
They lost that audience.
They lost the audience. They have no traction.
Yeah.
So
Chicago is
Yeah.
a great city, great town. I was born and raised here. I mean, I can say so many good things about Chicago. And I know with the news media and some of the young folks now, out here, gang banging or whatever they're doing, they need help. They need some type of community service programs put together, designed to let them know that there is other ways out here. Podcasting could be one
It
of them.
could be, and you know what? I know we had talked about this where they can have a voice.
They could,
They could do their own
Imagine if
podcast
they
too.
did their own podcast and
Yes.
someone
Let us
and they
know.
can relate to their peers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That would be an awesome way.
A room of their peers, not a whole room, but maybe
It
a
could
few
just
of
be
them.
like
And
this.
let them really explain to us what took you there.
Oh, you know
Because
what?
We don't know.
It could be like this, But I know we have the ability to also have people call in, right?
Absolutely.
So they can call
Or
in.
Skype.
Yeah.
Or anything
Or
like that.
Skype, or have
a
someone.
particular subject that and we'll say beforehand, advertise, this is what we're going to be
Right.
discussing on our podcast,
Right.
such and such a day at such and such a time.
And
These
right
young
now,
folks
someone,
tune in.
right? Well, with the young people, with us right now, we
Yeah.
did that, and we said, hey, we're going to be talking about this. You know, if you do yours, we were going to talk about you specifically. If you did one, you had your other 3 professionals
Yeah.
there. Instead of being in front of a live audience, you can have people call in, and right away
and ask
know what people want to
Yes.
know. The
And they don't
answer to.
necessarily have to be in Chicago.
Yeah, they could. Oh, even better. Let's just
Yes.
reach out, you
Yeah.
know, to the U.S. You know,
There's a lot of options, a lot of ways to use podcasting. You know,
Yeah,
there's so
I've
many
seen
ways.
that.
I mean, whether it's live or something you use later to market yourself.
this has taught me so much. I mean, I really didn't even know what it was about, Tish, when you called me. You said, hey, do you want to sit down and have a forum? That sounded good to me in itself. But now that we're sitting here, we're talking with Kevan, he's really laying out so many other ways that we could take transform this into so many other avenues. I'm just excited with the possibilities.
Let me take it a step further. One of the things that I've found since I've started the podcast is the ability to take back our advertisements and our commercials. What does that mean? I frequent a lot of restaurants and go to different places, and it dawned on me to ask, like, man, I go here all the time. And I'll find the owner, and I'll say, well, owner, have you ever thought about creating a commercial? And they say, you know, I thought about it, but I don't have anybody to do it. That's one thing. Second thing is that what are you going to do once you do have that content in commercial form? Do you have a network or some place to actually run it? And generally they say no. So what I'm saying is that a person who actually has a podcast and doing a podcast show, be open to understanding the places that you go to, the people that you're involved with, whether it's a place that you eat, down to whoever does your hair and all that good stuff. There's room for advertisement and commercials on your podcast. So we're creating a space and a place to put our leaders out there.
Yeah.
You know, the leaders who thought enough to create a restaurant. So advertisement and commercial is something that I would like the people who doing podcasts to embrace.
So you're saying those people who have maybe a regular show, podcast and show, that they, just like the shows on TV and YouTube, they have advertising. They solicit someone maybe to advertise on their show.
Yep.
So that's really important. I mean, that's a great way to showcase that individual that's advertising with you. And the other benefit, of course, is you get a profit. You get money from that. But just like on your website, you know, I know a lot of times right away people say, clients ask, how can I start making money by having people advertise? And the first thing I have to explain to them is that you need to prove that you have regular visitors. You have to show that you're popular enough.
website.
You're
Yes.
popular enough for someone to say, that's worth it to me to advertise there. And the same would apply to this, which I'm not saying that can't happen, but what you could do even before then, the commercial could be yours. Like
Exactly.
You have a podcast, we're talking about this, or you're talking about your subject, real estate subject with your group. And then at the end, you can have a call of action.
Yeah.
It could be at the end, it could discuss maybe something's happening. Maybe you all have a seminar coming up. Maybe there's a home that's awesome that you want to, show off.
Showcase. Yes.
So that's a way to advertise until you get the viewers, and then
Yes.
you have someone that says, wow, you have a lot of viewers. can we advertise on your podcast? And
Think
here,
about doing that on a regular basis. You would start to have a standard audience,
Right.
Just like you standard audience for a particular show
Right.
that you like on television,
Right.
And you like, I am going to be home to see this show, because I love this show. If they start to, say we do this on a regular basis, and people are getting the insight that they need about websites or the insight that they need about real estate or whatever your business is, they're going to tune in, and you can say, hey, we'll be doing this again next Tuesday at such and such a time. People will make sure they're on Facebook,
Right.
So to catch that live stream, you can get more visitors there possibly than even.
right. And the more popular you
television.
are, the more likely you might profit from
Yeah.
it through advertising,
And
which
they'll
is
tell
which
their
is
friends about you.
right, and they'll tell their friends. Yeah.
And so on and so forth.
we are just over an hour, but
Okay, wow, an hour just
Yeah.
ticked
Oh my
away.
goodness.
Because we're relaxed.
Because we're
just
so into this.
talking.
Okay,
We're
can I
just-
say something before the hour's up?
Sure.
Get it
Okay,
on, girl.
so we talked about, and I hinted about it, how I have come up with a strategy on how after you've done a podcast video, I can help you market yourself through that. I have 4 videos that I create for an individual, 2 minutes, 2 1 minute, and then there's an intro and there's an outro that I also create with the call to action, like I mentioned before. And then, so that's a package that includes that. Then there's another package that also includes me implementing it into your website and your YouTube channel. Then there's another package that also includes me in helping you market yourself through your social media pages.
Okay.
So these are ways. So these are some basic ways that you can use this
Implement
later
this,
and
yes.
and market yourself, because there's parts of this that I'm not going to be happy with. I'm going to say, oh, I didn't say that right. I used the wrong word, or I could have sounded a little more intelligent. That's not part of the video we're going to put in a 1 minute video.
Right.
The 1 minute video is going to be good parts where you had a strong point and a message, and you came across in a way that you wanted the people to see. So that's your commercial.
Well, I'm going to say this, Tish. I thank you for inviting me here. And after today, listening to you, listening to Kevan, I'm sold. I'm
Good job.
the next podcasting. Stay tuned. You'll
And we
see
need
Norma
to have you on again, because you're a good commercial for me, because I got some good stuff from you talking about me, and you
Hey,
and
only the
you
truth,
and you
only
did a
the
great
truth.
job in showing that you're an expert in your area of expertise.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you for saying. Thank you for saying.
okay, yeah, we can talk about this till we blue in the
I
face.
know.
It's a lot. No, I'm serious. It's a lot of things that goes into introducing podcasts or the concept to people. But it's nothing like seeing real people that are savvy and have an idea of what entrepreneurship is. 21 years. I'm sure you've been an entrepreneur for a long time, over 10 years.
Over
'cause I
10
know-
years.
10.
I've
Yeah.
been a graphic designer for over 20 years, but entrepreneur out of corporate world over 10 years.
Yes.
Yeah. The point being is we have to tell our own stories most of the time. And this is, I see, the best way of creating an avenue where we can create our own stories, we can archive it, and we can share it with other people who may or may not have an idea of how to get their business together. So I want to thank you guys for coming. Do you have anything that you
Thank
want to
you
share?
for having us. We
Yes.
wanted to thank you.
Thank you
And thank you for
especially.
sharing this opportunity with me and
Yeah.
exposing me to podcasting, because
Yes.
until that day that I ran into you and you mentioned this, I hadn't really considered it more than audio, and I didn't know the potential. So thank you for putting this together, coming up with this great idea. I applaud you for that.
I do too, as well. Thank you so much. It's always good to hear new ideas, and I think this is one of the best ones I've heard in a long, long time. So I appreciate you and all that
Best
you do.
since sliced bread.
Yeah, how can last thing is, how can people actually connect with you, whether through social media or websites?
On social media, my name is kind of unique.
Everywhere.
So,
She's got
but
so
it's
many
unique.
followers.
My name
It's-
is unique. I mean, a little unique, even though I was shocked to see some other Tisha LittleJohns. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
So
Well,
anyway,
yeah.
search for Tisha LittleJohn, but you can always find me on my website, TishaLittleJohn.com. So it's my name spelled out, Tisha, Tisha, LittleJohn, LittleJohn.com.
Okay, it is on the screen.
Oh,
for
great.
them.
Okay, wonderful. For me,
Norma?
I mean, I keep it a little more simple. I am on the internet. I am on Facebook. I probably need to be on there more visual. But for now, you can just text me, 773-720-7711.
Yep. So for anybody that's in need of looking or
Real
purchasing,
estate, or even just have questions
Yeah.
that they need answered, that's the place to go.
well, great, great. The purpose of this video was to actually bring a real world entrepreneur into the studio and talk how podcasts could perhaps help
Thank
you.
you.
So we definitely appreciate you coming in, Norma. Ms. LittleJohn, always you've been cool about what it is that you know about and how to actually make sure that people who may or may not know what's going on feel comfortable enough to be like, oh, okay, I can do this. And that's important nowadays. So I thank you guys, and hopefully we'll have another one soon to actually,
Definitely.
graduate this thought further.
Awesome.
Amen.
Yes.
All right, in Jesus' name.
All right.
That went really, really well.
It was